And so I'm happy that the party got to this right before us because we were about to hit that file button. But I'm still very hopeful. I have traveled this state. I have talked to people both in Dallas County and otherwise. And I am just frustrated both for the people in Williamson County as well as Dallas County, because they are entitled to cast their vote for whomever it is that they feel like should be representing them.
We only have time for 2 more questions, so if you haven't asked a question, please ask one right now.
Has this ever happened before where we have the parties doing separate elections like this in this district or any district in Texas, for that matter?
The way to do
Go ahead.
what I'll say is that, I mean, our primaries are always separate,
Yeah.
right? They are, I mean, we have closed primaries, so you go, you choose Democrat or Republican. What was different was the amount of influence that the Republicans were allowed to have over our primary. I was pretty frustrated when this first came about because I said, if y'all want your voters to do that, great. But that shouldn't impact Democratic voters. And so they did it more so to impact us. They didn't really care about what was going on their side. So I think that that's really what's new. Having issues with the administration of the election, we've seen that far too often.
So the claim, though, here from Alan West, the chair of the Dallas GOP party, was that this was to prevent voter fraud. That's outrageous. All this has done is create chaos both for our voters and for theirs.
Yeah.
And it's anti-democratic.
Yeah.
We have a long history of this in our state, though, whether it's this or even going back to our issues with having full inclusion in primaries at all within this state. This is to me, another step in a long line of trying to make it more difficult to vote and gaming with primaries. And I've seen this over the course of our history in our state.
Congresswoman, you said that one of your frustrations with the Democratic Party is being reactive, not proactive. So what did you do for the general election to ensure this doesn't happen?
Yeah, and that was just a general statement, just to be clear. Because obviously our Democratic Party chair got this done before the close of the polls. So I just want to clarify that. I do think that going into November, we have to take stock of exactly what's happened in our primary. I think that we also need to think about the warnings that have been issued by this administration. They've talked about federalizing the elections. They've talked about an executive order. They've talked about sending ICE out to polling locations to intimidate people. So I do think that we are going to have to link arms with our civil rights organizations, ACLU, NAACP, LULAC, Democracy Forward, and so forth. And we are going to have to get court orders before we even get to voting about what is and is not allowed at the polling locations in this state. I also think that from a DC standpoint, we need to go ahead and apply pressure as it relates to making sure that that SAVE Act does not go forward. That was another point of confusion that the Republicans injected, because all the headlines that came from y'all, God bless you, were the SAVE Act passed. Now, if you don't read the entire article, then you may believe that it actually passed into law, when instead it passed the House. It hasn't passed the Senate. So we were still even having to explain to people that's not currently the law of the land. So I do think that Democrats need to be working from now until November to, number one, make sure that there's pressure applied so that it doesn't become the law of the land right before the next election. And so we need to educate both our voters as well as theirs about the harm in such litigation or legislation. I also think that we need to go ahead and see if even in the minority, we can move forward with legislation that is pro-democracy legislation. I know a lot of people look at DC and they say the Democrats are in the minority, and we are. But in the minority, we were able to get the Epstein Transparency Act passed. That was because of outside pressure that was applied by the people. So I think that we need to do that work now and try to drum up as much, as many people to get involved in this process, so that hopefully we can, even in the minority, get something that looks like real democracy.
Real quickly, Cindy last, if I may,
Yeah, so folks should know that there is a process for curing a provisional ballot. And it's difficult when it's done in this manner because it's regarding your polling place, and so this is more difficult. But I think what the Congresswoman and I are committed to doing is helping anybody who wants to try and make sure that we'll help them try to cure their ballot. There's a set deadline of days after the election for it to be done within. Usually has to be done at the
Central
at the voting
Elections.
election center, and it's a little bit arcane and difficult. But to any folks here in North Texas who feel strongly about this, I encourage you to reach out to us. I've done this in my own personal capacity as a lawyer several times. We'll do anything we can to provide you with that information, and in fact, we'll try and put it out tonight how you can cure your ballots.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we mind people coming? A second? No, I don't think we're going there. Yeah. Or beers or whatever. Yeah. I think we're gonna just stick with our plan for stay up here. Thank you. I grabbed it, Neffy. Huh?
I need to check my phone right now.